Hey friends, it's Kelly. Thanks for joining me. I am back today with a new 12 by 12 scrapbook process video for the Cut Shop, and today I'm going to be using the Make a Splash cut file. So when I start this layout, you're going to see that I'm using some different embellishments than what actually makes it onto the layout at the end. And the reason for that is I was planning on using this layout as part of a project for the guest design spot that I had with Pretty Little Studio, but it just wasn't flowing and it just wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to. So I ended up setting it off to the side and I ended up making something different for Pretty Little Studio, but I knew that I wanted to use what I had started here. So at the beginning part of the video, you're gonna see Pretty Little Studio products, and then about midway through, you're gonna see me switch up the products because I ended up setting it aside and coming back to this weeks later and using different products to make it go the direction that I was looking for. So because I had originally planned on using Pretty Little Studio products for this layout, I did not have a blue colored cardstock that matched the Pretty Little Studio color scheme that I was working with. So I decided just to go ahead and make a custom color to use with the cut file. So I've mixed a couple different shimmer sprays and then also a couple Distress Oxide inks just to make the teal blue. Basically, I was looking for pool water color, and I cut the cut file on this custom made color, and I end up cutting the pool party and the splash and then a couple of the little waves because I thought my title was going to be Pool Party Splash, but I end up deciding just to go with the word splash. And I did cut a sun using one of the 4x6 pattern papers from the XOXO collection. And this is how I originally thought the layout was going to go. I was going to have the photo at the top with a small sun and then just arrange those words to make it work. And I play around with it and was just having a hard time getting it configured. I think part of it was my photo and the sun were so small and the title was big and it just felt off balance. But I also didn't like how stark white the background was, but I didn't really want to do the packaging technique and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to apply color to the background. So I end up grabbing some light blue acrylic paint in my brayer and I'm just rubbing the paint with the brayer on that white cardstock background just to take away from some of that starkness. And I really like using the brayer because you get some lighter areas, you get some darker areas, and it just gives the paper just a really cool texture. And I am using textured cardstock, so it was neat how the paint settled on that texture. And let's just take a moment to mention the trouble that I was having with that brayer. Did you see how many times it rolled off the handle? That brayer comes with different attachments that you can put on there, and they're textured attachments. And I, for the life of me, could not keep this smooth attachment on that handle. It kept falling off and it kept rolling around, and it was a major struggle. Okay, so at this point I've switched gears. It's weeks later from when I originally started. I've added some hand stitching around the word splash, and I actually did that when I was planning on using this as part of the layout for Pretty Little Studio. So as I mentioned, I did want to use this because I put a lot of work into the background, making the custom color, and then adding all the hand stitching. So I didn't want it to go to waste, but I was really struggling with getting a design going and there was no way to move that title around. It was adhered, there was hand stitching, but I could not figure out a way to make it work. So at this point, I figure I have nothing to lose. I'm gonna go ahead and tear it and I'm gonna layer it over that much larger sun that I have cut. And that pattern paper that I used for the sun, I believe that is an Amy Tangerine paper, but it had come from a paper pad, so there was no markings on the paper. It was just a single-sided paper, and I had it in with my papers that are Amy Tangerine, so if I filed it correctly, it is an Amy Tangerine paper, but I could be completely off base, and I have absolutely no idea which collection it's from. But I liked the pattern it had on there. It was really subtle. It was almost a wood grain, but it had a chevron look to it also, so I loved the color, and then I also liked the subtle pattern that it had going on. I've also decided that I'm going to use Amy Tangerine on a Whim collection for my embellishing. And the main reason that I went with that collection is the photo that I'm using is of my son and my niece. And it was when they were swimming at my parents' house one summer. And my son's floaties that he has on are orange. And that is not a color that I scrapbook a lot of. And I don't have a ton of embellishments that have orange included. So I noticed that this Amy Tangerine collection, as I was going through my different products, there was quite a bit of orange with the pineapples and the palm trees, and I just thought that it would match well with the photo. So I've adhered my sun down, and I've also lightly adhered down that piece of paper that has the word splash. I did cut part of the sun, which I'm sure you saw just a second ago, because I wanted a little bit more of the sun peeking out from underneath that cardstock that has the word splash, but I couldn't get the sun spun around on the cardstock the way that I wanted it to have the amount showing underneath there. So I just chopped off a piece that wasn't showing and added it on there. You'll never be able to tell since it's tucked underneath that word splash. And here begins the epic saga of me trying to figure out what papers I want to map my photo with. I've had this collection, I want to say, for at least a year. I believe that I have 2 of these 6x6 paper pads because I forgot that I bought one and bought it a second time. And look at me finicking around with these teeny tiny pieces because the hoarder in me would not allow me to get the second paper pad out and use it. And I wanted to use that piece of blue pattern paper, but I liked the color too much and thought that I might want to use it on something else later on and didn't want to hack into it. It's a real problem, and I believe that it might be a sickness that I have such a hard time using my supplies, and I'm really trying to get better about it. I really am. But you could never tell that by watching this part of the video because I mess around with this forever just trying to get these layers the way that I want. I did decide to go ahead and use that pattern paper that I wanted to back the photo. And I mean, I just need to get with it. I just need to use these supplies, get them out of my stash and get them out of my craft room and get them onto some projects. And I know I'm not the only one. I know that there are other people out there that can totally relate to this. You can't cut into something because it's too pretty and you might have a perfect project later. And I really, really am trying to get better about it. So I'm liking how this top cluster is coming together. I'm going to use that pineapple die cut as my journaling spot. There's lines on it, so it's perfect to use for that. I'm going to tape it down to a scrap piece of white paper, just using some washi tape, and then I'm going to run it through my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter, just to add a couple lines of journaling. I don't remember anything extra special happening this day with this photo. It was taken, I believe, in 2011. I did not have a date for the photo, and I was going based off how old my son looked, and he still has all of his baby teeth in there, so he has such a cute little baby smile, and I believe he was 3 in this photo, and it just kills me how fast time is going. It just doesn't seem like it's possible that this photo could have been taken 7 years ago, but I believe it was. So I'm going to start working on adhering everything down. Those palm trees that I'm adhering down, those were actually clear stickers that I adhered to white cardstock first, which I'm sure that you noticed at the beginning of the video. The reason I did that is I wanted them to keep their true color, and I really wasn't sure where I was going to position them. So I wanted to be able to move them around easily and use them almost like a die cut. Now at this point you can see that I've added quite a few more embellishments. I really struggled with embellishing on this layout, and it's even going to change a little bit from what you see now. But I've just grabbed a few more things from the Whim Collection. I've grabbed some die cuts. I've also grabbed some stickers from the 6x12 sticker sheet, and then also the sticker book. All of the stickers are clear, so I did adhere all of the stickers down on white cardstock first and fussy cut them out. Now here's where I really struggled. I felt like I needed to add an embellishment cluster under the letter H, but when I added that, then I felt like I needed one under the letter S to create a visual triangle. And all of the die cuts in this pack, they're fairly large, so I was having a really hard time. I was trying to use some stickers and trying to use some different things, but I wanted to be careful with my color scheme. I liked that blue pineapple, but I didn't really have that color blue going on anywhere else. So it was a real struggle trying to figure this out. So I left this part in the video, and I do play around a lot trying to figure out what I want to use. I even bring in some chipboard stickers from the same collection, trying to just make things work and get it configured the way that I wanted so it was pleasing to the eye and your eye kind of danced around the layout. So I had mentioned that this photo was older and it didn't have a date on it. I used to print all of my photos through Snapfish. I would order every photo I took, pretty much every photo that I took, and then I would sort through them and use the ones that I wanted. And then I got my Canon Selfie and I've been printing from home. Well, I still have boxes of photos that I printed that I haven't scrapbooked yet. So I'm going to try to scrapbook a lot of older photos in my next few projects to use up those pictures that I have that are taking up room in my scrap room. So I'm trying my best to figure out the dates, and if I don't know the date, I'm just gonna have to try to guess, and I don't know if that's really the best way to go about it, but I scrapbook for the creative process, not so much the story part of scrapbooking. So it's not going to kill me if I get the year wrong in the photos that I'm using, but I have a general idea on the years that I have printed. So I'm excited to use those photos up, and it's kind of fun going through these photos. It's like a trip down memory lane, seeing him so little and remembering quirky little things about his personality. So those will be fun things to document. If I can't remember the exact story, I'll at least get to document what I remember about Aiden at that age. All right, so the layout is finished. Here are the still shots. As you can see, I ended up removing both of those small embellishment clusters underneath the word splash. I decided that the layout was fine without it, and that there was plenty of embellishing, and that it ended up being cute just the way it was. So I do want to encourage you to head to the Cut Shoppe Etsy store to check out all of the cut files, and I do want to remind you about the new Cut Shoppe Facebook group that is on Facebook. So I'll make sure to link to everything in the description box below. You'll want to head to the Facebook group. There's a lot of fun things happening there. There's going to be a giveaway when we hit 400 members, and we're very, very close. So make sure that you check it out. I'll be back again soon with a new layout and process video. As always, thank you so much for watching.